Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not My Problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem,
but it's certainly someone's problem.
Maple syrup and being polite. I'm Valerie, host of Canadian Creepies, the podcast that digs up stories polite history would rather forget. Cold cases that never found justice, haunted places that refuse to stay quiet, and folklore with a dark side you've probably never heard. If true crime, paranormal mysteries, and unsettling Canadian history are your thing, you'll want to tune in. New episodes every week wherever you get your podcasts. Canadian Creepies, exploring and exposing the shadows of the true north.
So, Jen, this is our third episode for October, and I just wanted to say to you, Merry Christmas, because if you've been in the stores lately, you will know that it is now Christmas time. It is everywhere.
It is. I went into Costco on Thursday, and yeah, they already have Christmas decor up, and it pissed me off.
Well, I will say this. I do like that they had their wrapping paper out, and I did get some of their wrapping paper. And then we also have a BJ's membership. BJ's, I think, has the superior wrapping paper to Costco.
Oh.
I think it's usually better, it's cuter, and it's also two-sided. I'm waiting for them to put their wrapping paper out. So I can, because you have to get them quick or there'll only be the ugly ones left.
Yeah.
We went to BJ's last week. And I was going up and down the Christmas aisles, and Nick looked at Katie and went, "Mom's trying to feed her wrapping paper addiction, isn't she?" My name is Kelly, and I have a wrapping paper addiction problem. I do.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how much wrapping paper I have in my house currently. I will buy more wrapping paper every single season. It is a problem. I acknowledge it, and I'm unwilling to change it.
Okay. Do you wrap gifts all year round in Christmas wrapping paper?
No.
I do. Because the only time I buy wrapping paper is for Christmas. So when there is another reason to get a gift, like my mom's birthday gift was just wrapped in Christmas wrapping paper, because that is all I have. And I'm not going to go buy birthday wrapping paper.
See, Costco had 3 rolls of two-sided general wrapping paper. So I picked that up, and that's what I'll use for.
That's smart.
Usually with birthday presents, so I like to put them more in like a gift bag.
Yeah.
I don't do gift bags for Christmas because my kids like to unwrap gifts, and that's the fun part of it's the fun of it.
That's fair. I agree. I will wrap up Ellie gifts, as you know, and she will unwrap them.
Yeah. Boogie used to love to unwrap presents
Yeah.
so much. We would have to wrap several things for him and give him little things to unwrap at Christmas morning, like on regular intervals, or he would attack the kids' presents and try to tear them open.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he loved them so much.
Yeah. If you have a dog and have not taught them to open their own gifts, do so, because it's a very rewarding thing to see.
I know last Christmas was the first Christmas without Boogie because he died in December.
Yeah.
But I think it's hitting me a little harder this year because last year I had already wrapped his presents
Right.
before he died. And then I brought them and I gave them to Ellie when I came out to see you for your birthday. But he's not on my list to buy for this year. And that's kind of hitting me a little harder, you know?
That's tough.
So, but Christmas is everywhere.
Maybe we'll manifest Piper before Christmas.
Maybe, hopefully.
Maybe. Let's try.
I doubt it. I asked Nick yesterday, we drove past the pound and it said adopted an animal today. And I was like, can we go get a dog? He was like, no.
What a
You
jerk.
suck.
You do suck, Nick. You're the worst.
So what I do with the wrapping paper that, like last year's wrapping paper, the wrapping paper that I got that I'm kind of tired of, I use that to wrap all the stocking stuffers.
Oh, okay.
And then the presents under the tree kind of get the newer stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, that is your Christmas update.
That is in October.
In October.
Well, welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter. Are you ready for your question, Kelly?
I am.
This is a good one. It's a good question.
Okay.
Okay. So I got this from Instagram and I was scrolling on my phone and I literally stopped as soon as I heard it and put it into the script because I hadn't come up with a question yet. So the person whose video I watched is R. Rogers World. They're funny. I love them. Go follow them. And she said, if people suddenly lost the ability to lie, which industry would fall apart first and why?
I mean, I think, is the government considered an industry?
It is.
I would have to say the government.
Yeah. That was one of my first thoughts too, the government.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Though
I don't know a bigger industry that's run on lies. Here's the thing, though. If you lose the ability to lie, then people would also lose the ability to lie to themselves. So maybe
True.
it would be kind of eye-opening to people that they wouldn't be able to kind of mask the things that they are believing. And listen, I am sure there are things that I believe that I am blind to other information on.
Yeah.
And I try to expose myself to people with different beliefs and people I can have a good conversation with. There's this kid at work, okay? Young guy, sweet as can be. And him and I talk about religion all the time. Now, normally you would think that's not a workplace conversation, but he is so respectful, and I am so respectful that we are able to engage in a good conversation. He presents thoughts and ideas that I haven't thought of. I do the
Interesting.
same for him. It's great. I absolutely love it.
It's
Um,
rare to find someone that you can talk
it
to
is.
like that.
But I like that I can do that because
Yeah.
I don't wanna live in an echo chamber.
Yeah. That was one of my other thoughts is religion would be an industry that would die out pretty quickly.
What I wonder with religion, though, is I don't think that people that believe in the religion are necessarily are lying because I believe that they believe it.
Right. So the question would be, would the books that were written still be able to exist
That's right,
if there
because
were
it would
lies
be
in them?
that's a good point.
Yeah.
This is a great question.
I know. And another one, because a former teacher here that I thought of would be teaching because do you know how many times I lied to my students? You have to lie to them constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be
The
tough.
medical industry?
Oh, yeah.
The medical industry would probably be like, when you think of certain pharmaceutical things
Oh,
that,
God.
like
Yeah.
or you can just think of any industry that uses things that they know. Okay, so, like, the tobacco industry knew that smoking was causing cancer, but they, like, buried it and buried it and
Yeah.
buried it until finally it was like, "No, it has to come out."
Right.
So all of that would be gone, whether it be a medicine that were being prescribed that end up having side effects that they knew about that they didn't say, which I don't
Yeah.
think that happens too terribly much. I think usually it's after people have been on it for a long time, then they're
Right.
like,
I
"Oh,
think it's
there
long
is this side
term.
effect."
Yeah.
Right.
Because you can only do tests
But
in the short term of what is showing up now. But obviously, there are certain things that are being studied long term that we don't even know. I know people
right.
always say, "Well, we don't know what the side effects of the COVID vaccine are long term. But again, we don't know what the side effects of anything are long term. So you got to do the best you can with the information you have in the moment.
Just think about this, okay, so when my dad had cancer, okay, and my dad was, like, in another room, and I was alone with his oncologist, and I looked at her and I said, "Okay, I need you to be straight with me. What time frame are we looking at here?" And she said, "Only the good Lord knows." And I said, "Yeah, I don't believe in the good Lord. I believe in your medical training
Yeah.
and your years of experience with this. That's what I'm putting my faith in, is you, not the good Lord that I don't believe in." And she looked a little shocked. And I was like, "You have the experience here. In your professional opinion,
Right.
he's not here." Because I know they don't want to say things in front of patients because they don't want people to like give up necessarily, which
Yeah.
is also kind of weird to me if they are terminal. But shoot it straight with me
Yeah.
because this is affecting my life too, like in a big way,
Did she?
right? No. not until, so this was before he went on hospice. Okay. So the whole time she's like, only the good Lord knows, only the good Lord knows, only the good Lord knows,
Yeah.
which she wouldn't have been able to lie about if you lost the ability to lie. She would have
Right.
just told me. Right. But then when my dad said, I don't want to continue treatment, I'm going to go on hospice. Then she said 3 to 6 months,
Okay.
like instantly,
Yeah.
instantly. I think in the medical field, it would probably bring out a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, fascinating question. And the whole video started with she asked this to like a group of her friends, and she wasn't expecting it to turn into an hours long conversation, and it
It's a
did.
great
It
question. Yeah.
is. I'm gonna start using this as like in my dating profile, like not in the profile, but like one of the first questions I ask people.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I did use it to one person because I started back up on the apps, and their response was, "I don't know." And then they immediately changed the subject. And I'm like, "No, I'm not talking to you anymore. If you can't have this philosophical conversation with me, then I'm not interested. Sorry."
I don't know. The first question you ask somebody, maybe this philosophical might be
Wasn't
a
the
little
first.
deep.
It wasn't the first. We had
Okay.
like gone back and forth a little bit, and then I think we went a day or so without talking. And then I like threw that in to start the conversation back up. And he was just like, "I don't know." And then asked me another random question. I'm like, if you're not even going to attempt to think about it, no, not
Because his
interested.
probably number one answer would have been dating profiles.
Probably. Yeah. Fair. Didn't even
Now, I'm
think about
lying to
that.
you a lot right now.
Yeah. I'm glad we can lie because there's a lot of them on my profile. That's what the guy is thinking, not me. My
Yeah.
profile was very honest because I don't have the time for this shit. I don't want to pretend to be
I-
somebody I'm not.
Listen, if you know Jen at all, you know that she lacks the ability to be anything but honest,
Yeah.
even sometimes to her detriment.
Yeah, very much so. But
Yeah.
I used to feel like in dating, you try to sprinkle your crazy in a little bit. You hide it at first and then you just slowly start I'm like, no, I'm done with that. I need you to know
Yeah.
what you're getting into. I'm not going to necessarily trauma dump on you on the first date. That's a little much, but I'm like very plan to be, and I have started doing it, but I haven't been very active. But I'm have ADHD. I'm probably autistic. I like spooky shit, and I'm a witch, and I don't believe in God. You
Yeah.
got to know this, and I hate certain political figures. You got to know all this up front because I ain't changing. I'm too old to play
Yeah.
games and to do that shit. So if you don't like me, move on. Let's not waste each other's
Yep.
time.
Well, this has been an interesting opening to this episode.
It is. You may send your dating profile links to our inbox, please, if there are any interested parties.
For Jen, I'm
Yeah,
married.
Kelly's married. Just me. If you listen to this podcast and are still like, yeah, okay, I'd date her, then hit me up. Which that's also another thing I do in the dating profiles. I have in there that I have a paranormal podcast. And if they ask me the name of it, I'm like, oh yeah, not my ghost, not my problem. Go listen. Because if you can't handle me on the podcast, then
Because me on the podcast is me in real life.
it is me. It is the most unmasked me that you people will get because I am with Kelly and I forget that we're recording sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anywho, I do have a little update for everyone.
Okay.
Okay. So in our last episode where we talked about movies and the paranormal, Kelly told a story of in 2016, during the release of The Conjuring 2, that a man had died while watching the movie, and then the driver of his body and him disappeared. And I said I was going to
Right.
dig into it. So, and I apologize in advance for messing this up, but this happened in Tiruvannamalai, India. A 65-year-old man named Tamil Nadu collapsed while watching the film's climax during a late night showing. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where the doctors declared him dead from a suspected heart attack. The hospital staff instructed his companion, identified as H. Prasad, to take the body to another facility for a post-mortem exam, which that blows my mind in itself. But this is
Yeah.
India, so I don't know. But instead of arriving, both the man's body and his companion vanish. Police later opened an investigation into the disappearance. From there, facts and rumor collided. Social media exploded with claims that the death was paranormal, that dozens of people had died watching the movie, and even wild stories of possessions in theaters and mysterious crosses appearing afterwards. But none of that was ever verified. The truth is, the death and disappearance were very real, but police believed the companion may have simply fled with the body to avoid the fallout, not because of anything supernatural. Despite that, the case has never been publicly resolved, and to this day, there is no record that either the body or the companion were ever found. While paranormal fans cite this as evidence of a cursed movie, the more grounded explanation is that this was a tragic death followed by a very strange and unsolved missing persons case that spiraled into an urban legend.
Yeah, so he had a heart attack watching the movie, but this is the stuff that gets people have heart attacks all the time.
Yeah, it
It's the
happens.
same thing, like, if anytime somebody has a heart attack now, I hear people go, "Oh, he got the COVID vaccine. That's why he had a heart attack." As
Yeah,
if people weren't having heart attacks
before COVID. Yeah,
before the COVID vaccine.
yeah.
Yeah. So he was watching a movie and he had a heart attack. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean the movie caused the heart attack,
Right.
but it is interesting.
There was a lot of other people that watched that movie and didn't have a heart attack. So is it possible that he had a heart condition and the movie exacerbated that?
Sure.
Possibly. There's a reason why when you go into Halloween Horror Nights or any Halloween haunted house like that, you have to sign a waiver because if you are not in good health, people scaring the shit out of you can cause
Yeah.
problems. So if you have a bad heart, maybe don't go watch scary movies.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Glad I don't have a bad heart. Anywho, we are going to jump into today's topic now
Sounds good.
because that was a long scripted, unscripted banter section.
Very
So,
long.
very long. I apologize, but we know you love it.
It's okay. Yeah, they do.
Have you ever walked into a dark room and felt like you weren't alone? Heard whispers that seemed to come from nowhere? Or glimpsed shadows moving just out of the corner of your eye? Today, we're venturing into the haunted mind, exploring how our brains can create ghosts, whispers, and figures that feel real, even when they may be born from fear, stress, or memory. We'll uncover why some experiences are deeply personal, tied to trauma, guilt, or repressed desires, and why others seem to cross cultures and centuries, appearing in folklore, shared stories, and even the collective imagination. And yet, what if not every shadow is in your head? What if some of these presents are real? Watching, waiting, reaching through the veil between worlds. So grab your courage, keep the lights on, and join us as we explore the thin line between the inner world of the mind and the dark world outside.
Mm,
And I know this
I
sounds
like it.
very familiar to our Psychology of Thought series, and it is a branch of that series. Y'all know I love my psychology.
Yeah.
So I had to dig into this. But first, facts.
Yep.
So these are facts about the brain, just like in the Psychology of Thought episode. But I did go back and make sure that I did not repeat any of the facts because the notes were still very recent. So I was able to do that. So, fun facts, your brain is made mostly of water. About 75% of your brain is water, which is why staying hydrated helps you think clearly.
That's interesting. I'm dehydrated a lot.
Yeah, me too. This is your reminder to drink your water. If you have not drank your water today, go drink water.
Not just water, electrolytes.
I just have water.
You need electrolytes.
Where do I get
You want to make
those?
well, you can buy little packs like the liquid IV.
Yeah.
That's got electrolytes in it. Or all you have to do is when you make water, put a little bit of sea salt in it.
Oh, but
Just a
don't that
little pinch of it in it.
make it taste like salt? I don't want to drink salt
Nope.
water.
You don't put a lot in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like a little pinch of it in a big thing of water.
Oh, okay. Health advice from Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. Next fact is brains are surprisingly active while asleep. While you sleep, the brain is cleaning itself, consolidating memories, and solving problems. Basically, doing maintenance like a tiny computer, which is why sleep is so important. So sleep and stay hydrated. And our last fun fact is your brain never feels pain. The brain itself doesn't have pain receptors, which is why surgeons can operate on it while patients are actually awake.
That is terrifying
I
to
agree.
think to be in a surgery where you know they are accessing your brain, but
no.
you are awake.
You'd have to
Do you
put
know
me
how much
out.
anxiety medicine they'd have to give me?
Absolutely. I'd be knocked out from anxiety medication.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, scary facts. Your brain can misfire in terrifying ways. Tiny electrical glitches in the temporal lobe can create sudden feelings of a presence in the room, intense deja vu, or an out of body sensation, making you feel like someone is watching you.
I have heard before that they think that deja vu is when your brain does glitch and it records what is happening, not only as a recent thing, but it also records it as a memory at
Yeah.
the exact same time.
Yep. I've heard that too. Your brain can also trap you in fear loops. So when you're stressed or sleep deprived, the amygdala can go into overdrive, amplifying fear signals. This can make shadows loom larger, whispers sound real, and ordinary sounds feel like threats. And last, your brain can also react to unseen stimuli. Even subliminal cues like faint movement, whispers, or shadows in peripheral vision can trigger a fight or flight response, making you sense threats that may not exist or may exist, but you can't see them.
I mean, I think we have all seen something out of the corner of our eye and gotten that rush of adrenaline and
Yeah.
jumped and swung our head over and then saw that it was just like, I don't know, a robe,
Yeah, or nothing.
just your robe hanging or
Yep.
nothing.
Our brains are wired for survival, not accuracy. When you walk into a dark room and swear you see something move in the corner, or when you hear a faint whisper in total silence, that is your brain doing its best to protect you. It fills in the gaps with imagined threats because, from an evolutionary standpoint, it's better to mistake the shadow for a monster than to miss a real predator. Think of your brain like an old haunted house. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of light, every draft of air becomes exaggerated. The mind decorates the unknown with ghosts, whispers, and menacing figures. These hauntings are often just the natural side effects of stress, fatigue, or sensory deprivation.
I can tell you this. When I started going through menopause, I did not sleep at all. Like, sleep was, I was up for days on end. And the way that messes with your perception of
Yeah,
everything around you is insane. It's scary.
absolutely.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. But here's the twist. Once fear takes root, the house seems more and more alive. The hallways get darker, the whispers louder, and the shadows sharper. And suddenly, your own mind, the same place that's supposed to keep you safe, becomes the monster in the dark.
That's my whole damn life.
Right?
That's why I had to do 6 years of trauma therapy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to say when people would go to escape rooms for fun, I used to say my brain is like an escape room filled with intricate puzzles and mazes and mysteries and things that I have to try to figure out so I can get out of it and get somewhere safe, and it's impossible.
Have you ever done an escape room?
I have.
Okay. They're fun, though.
I've been to
Okay. Did you escape?
the first one we did, the second one we did not.
Okay.
But the people said, because we picked it based on the difficulty. The first one, the same group, I did it with the same group of people.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, the difficulty was listed at like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And we were able to beat it. And then we went to a different place
Yeah.
and it said 7. And so we thought, okay. And we went in that room and we were just lost little birds the whole time.
Did you ask for
And then
hints?
at the end of it, We did a
Oh, okay.
lot.
Okay.
And still it was like, God, we can't figure
Yeah.
anything out. And then after we were done, we were like, "This is crazy because we just did one that was like a 7 and we did great." And she's like, "Yeah, I think they misrated this one. This is more like a 9.
Yeah.
Our other room is closer to a 7." It's like, well, maybe somebody should fix that.
So I have done a lot of escape rooms and I have escaped every time.
Well,
Humble brag.
just you?
No. I did it with my ex and his friends mostly, but I have done them with other people.
Your your crazy intelligent ex and his crazy intelligent friends.
Yes. But I
Believe me,
have
we did
done
not
them with other people and have also
we have
escaped.
not the escape room we escaped was not in any part due to me.
That's fair.
Definitely the other people.
Okay. So, fear has a way of sharpening the edges of reality. During moments of trauma, grief, or extreme stress, the brain is already on high alert. It's scanning the environment for danger, and in that hyper vigilant state, even the smallest sound or shadow can transform into something far more sinister. Psychologists have long studied this. In a 2008 study from the University of Amsterdam, found that heightened anxiety makes people more likely to interpret neutral images, like a blurry face, as something threatening. In other words, when you're stressed, the mind literally paints danger where none exists. It's not just emotions either. Stress floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol, which heightens senses. A 2014 paper in the Frontiers of Psychology showed that fear narrows attention and biases perception towards threat. A creak in the house or a rustle in the dark isn't just noticed, but it's actually amplified.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. In that state, the line between perception and imagination blurs. What you feel becomes just as real as what you see. So, in times of fear or trauma, the ghosts we encounter may not be supernatural at all. They may just be the echoes of our own mind trying to process emotions too big to hold quietly inside.
That's why I like it when something happens and somebody else is there that can verify that they heard it too
Yeah,
or saw it too.
agreed. Yeah, we'll
Yeah, because
touch on that a
we
little
were
bit.
always that's why we're always like, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah,
"Did you see that?" Like, yeah.
absolutely. Making sure that's a shared experience.
Yeah.
Hypnagogia is the strange twilight zone between wakefulness and sleep. It's a liminal space where the mind is starting to drift into dreamland, but fragments of reality still linger. In this state, people often experience vivid imagery, fleeting sounds, or sudden bodily sensations. Faces might appear in shadows, whispers might brush against your ear, or objects might seem to move just out of reach. Your brain is essentially in half dream mode, blending sensory input from the real world with dream-like constructs. It's why you might feel like someone is in the room with you, or why your thoughts suddenly take on a story like, almost cinematic quality. Artists, writers, and inventors throughout history have tapped into hypnagogia for creativity, but it's also where many reported paranormal experiences originate. This phenomenon
Phenomenon.
do, 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 is not only common but well documented. A 2023 study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that 80.2% of participants reported experiencing hypnagogic states, with the most frequent experiences being kinesthetic at 90.3% and visual at 86.5%. The experiences during hypnagogia can be surprisingly vivid and often feel more real than imagined. This is because the brain is transitioning from consciousness, external world, to the internal dream world. The boundaries between reality and imagination blur, making it easy to perceive these experiences as supernatural or otherworldly.
It's amazing. Our brains are just
I know. The deeper I dive into this shit, the more I'm just like, the shit our brains do is insane.
Some weird stuff when you're kind of drifting off into sleep.
Yeah. I know what I just said, and the next couple of things I dive into are going to be very science heavy and very skeptic heavy. But don't worry, when I'm done talking about these next couple of things, I'm going to tie the paranormal into it.
Alrighty.
Okay. The next topic we're going to cover is sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis takes hypnagogia one step further. It occurs when the brain wakes up before the body has fully emerged from REM sleep. Normally, during REM, your body is paralyzed, and that prevents you from being able to act out your dreams because that would be awful. But during sleep paralysis, your mind is conscious while your body remains temporarily immobile. The result? A terrifying sense of being awake, yet completely unable to move, often accompanied by a sensed presence phenomena.
Phenomena.
Do, 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 do. The feeling that someone or something is in the room with you. People commonly report seeing shadow figures, feeling pressure on their chest, or hearing whispers or footsteps. Scientific studies have shed light on this eerie experience. In a 2015 review in Sleep Medicine Reviews, noted that 8 to 50% of people, which huge gap in
What
percentage
kind of
is
range
right
is
there.
that?
Yeah. So 8 to 50% of people experience at least one episode of sleep paralysis in their lifetime, with higher rates among those experiencing stress, irregular sleep patterns, or PTSD. Researchers have linked hallucinations during sleep paralysis to the brain's REM activity combined with a hypervigilant sensory processing, the same mechanisms that produce hypnagogic imagery. Across culture and history, these episodes have often been explored as visits from demons, spirits, or other astral intruders. From the old hag in Newfoundland folklore to the kanashibari in Japan, the sensation of being watched or attacked while paralyzed has haunted humans for centuries. Yet, neuroscience suggests that while the experiences feel vividly real, they are generated entirely by the brain's transitional sleep states.
I only get sleep paralysis if I try to take a nap.
Me too.
I
Same.
never get it at night.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually do a whole deep dive on sleep paralysis, so more to come. Because I'd love to
Yeah.
research that a little bit more as to because you're not the only other person that I've been told this, that it's pretty common to only get it when you're napping. So I'd love to kind of dive into the reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And next, we're going to talk about astral travel. Astral travel or astral projection is when the individual feels as though their consciousness has separated from their physical body, allowing them to travel through space or other realms. While many describe these experiences as profound and spiritual, scientific research offers alternate explanations rooted in psychology and neuroscience. A 2025 study, so very recent, published in Personality and Individual Differences, found that individuals who report out of body experiences, otherwise known as OBEs, often exhibit higher levels of psychological distress, dissociation, and a history of trauma. The study suggests that OBEs may function as a coping mechanism in response to past trauma, rather than serving as a cause of mental illness.
I
From
can see
a
that.
Yeah,
Like, you're
definitely.
so stressed out, the trauma is so real that you almost have to leave your body to get away from it.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been in so much pain you wanted to run away from it even though that makes no sense?
Yes.
Yeah, like, it could be like an internal force trying to, like, leave the body to not feel the trauma that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. From a neurological perspective, OBEs have been linked to disruptions in the temporoparietal junction of the brain, an area responsible for integrating sensory information and maintaining the sense of body ownership. Interference in this region can lead to experiences where individuals perceive themselves as being outside of their physical bodies.
My My cousin has extreme anxiety. Like,
Mhm.
she's a lot better now, but when she was younger, when we didn't know really what was going on with it, I remember they were at our house one time, and just out of nowhere, she came in and she grabbed her dad's arm and she said, "I'm not in my body, I'm not in my body." And that caused her a lot of anxiety. She was really scared because she wasn't in her body.
Yeah.
That I'm young. I'm a teenager at this point. I have no idea what's going on. I had no idea that I too had extreme anxiety. Okay? So she's like, "I'm not in my body, I'm not in my body." And I look up, I'm like, "Then where the hell are you?" And then, of course, my mom kicks me under the table, which was an appropriate kick under the table, by the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
at that point.
that was
Absolutely.
appropriate, but I just didn't understand what she meant. But she
Yeah.
literally had those experiences where she felt like she was leaving her body,
Yeah,
and that in itself caused her a lot of anxiety.
I can see that. So these findings align with the broader understanding that OBEs are not evidence of the soul leaving the body, but instead are a complex psychological and neurological phenomena.
Phenomena.
Do, 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 do. They often occur during periods of stress, sleep disturbances, or altered states of consciousness, reinforcing the idea that such experiences are deeply rooted in the mind's process of reality. Now, that's the science behind these three things. But of course, we are a paranormal podcast. So now I'm going to
We
talk
certainly are.
about the paranormal and I'm going to make a case for why these three things can actually still overlap with the paranormal. Even though science offers compelling explanations for astral travel, hypnagogia, and sleep paralysis, the consistency of reported experiences across cultures and centuries may indicate that this is actually something paranormal. People separated by geography and time often describe eerily similar encounters. Some of the most commonly reported include a shadowy figure or the presence that feels menacing. People report seeing it standing in the corner, lurking near the bed, or approaching slowly. A crushing pressure on the chest, often accompanied by difficulty breathing and feelings of dread. Dark, faceless silhouettes that silently observe or move around the room, evoking deep fear without interacting directly. An old crone like figure, sometimes sitting on the chest or standing nearby, appearing frequently in folklore and historical accounts of sleep paralysis. And people sometimes see a version of themselves or floating figures near the body, creating a sensation of detachment or disorientation.
Hmm,
So,
that's interesting.
with astral travel, people have reported encountering others on the astral plane, friends, loved ones, mysterious figures, who seem fully aware of each other's presence and can interact in ways that feel vividly real. In some accounts, individuals have scheduled meetups on the astral plane, and both
That's amazing.
parties later recall the encounter upon waking. These experiences challenge the purely neurological explanations and suggest that consciousness might, under certain conditions, access a realm beyond the physical body.
That's so cool.
Right. That's my biggest thing with astral travel as to why I believe that it is real. Because one, I knew too many people that have said they've done it. And two, I've heard those stories of people that will meet up in the astral plane and then they both have memory of this.
I've
So how are
never
they?
heard stories of that before, so
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I want to astral travel so bad, and I try all the time. So if you have any hints or secrets or tips, please send them to me because I want to do it so bad. But I was talking to my friend Lynn, and she has done it, and we were talking about it, and she presented this thought to me, and then I dug deeper into it, and it is a real thing. And it just blew my mind when she said it. So, some researchers and practitioners of astral travel suggest that the eerie shadows and figures people often see during sleep paralysis might actually be glimpses of themselves in the process of leaving the body. In this view, What appears as a menacing presence is not an external threat, but rather your consciousness beginning to separate from your physical form, edging towards an out of body experience. Because the brain is still partially anchored to the body and interpreting sensory inputs through fear based filters, it may transform this familiar self into something seemingly threatening or otherworldly. In essence, the frightening figures are reflections of you, your own consciousness on the brink of a new liminal state.
But that's a heavy statement. The frightening figures are reflections of you. Like, that has so
Right?
much, like, metaphorical yeah,
Right? That is when
that's
Lynn
crazy.
text that to me, my mind was blown, and I immediately
Yeah,
like, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this episode was because of that conversation I had with Lynn. I needed to tie that into this episode because
that's crazy.
it blew my mind. Because as someone who
Yeah.
has had sleep paralysis and has seen things in the room, it it blows my mind to think that that's a possibility, that it could just be my spirit, my soul, whatever the hell you wanna call it, detaching from my body, and that's what's projecting.
I I don't see things in sleep paralysis, though.
I don't often. It has happened, though.
Mm,
I have seen the old witch
yeah.
once, which, let's be fair, of course, that's a projection of me, and I have
Right.
seen, like, a demon-like child, which, inner child trauma there, so 2 things that make perfect sense for me to be projecting as something scary.
Yeah.
So it's very
You know what's
interesting.
interesting? Is I always get a sense that there's danger in the house.
Yeah.
I can't, like one time I thought there was, like, a shooter, like, somebody with a gun in the house that was
Mm.
threatening to shoot the family. But that's very if you think about it, like, with the trauma that I grew up in my
Yeah.
childhood with my parents, the trauma, the fear, the danger was in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
makes sense. So next time you guys experience sleep paralysis, just think about this and think that the scary thing that's in the room may just be not so scary and maybe yourself. And maybe try to take it a
Yep.
step further and see if you can fully separate. Put our theory to the test.
Yeah. Let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So the repetition and universality of these experiences are hard to ignore. Why do so many people across different cultures independently report seeing similar figures, feeling the same sensations, or even encountering others in a shared space? Paranormal researchers suggest this may indicate external entities or forces influencing perception in ways science is yet to fully explain. Timing also adds to the mystery. Many of these events occur at night or during transitional states between sleep and wakefulness, moments of vulnerability when the veil between worlds might feel thin. Stories of repeated experiences in the same locations or witnesses perceiving the same figures challenge the purely neurological explanations. So, whether these encounters are supernatural or not, for those who have lived through them, the sensations, being watched, pressed upon, or meeting others outside the body feel undeniably real.
The whole thing, it's, like, blowing my mind. It's like, this is information I feel like I need to let sink in and
Yeah,
process almost.
absolutely. And I've had the
It's
time to
hard to have
process because I researched the
right.
episode. And now I'm like,
It's hard to have,
huh.
like, the immediate reaction to
Yeah,
it because it's like, it's still it has to seep
it's
in there.
processing. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
somewhere in the in between. Like I do think that a lot of it is our mind and fascinating the way our brain can make these things happen, but I do believe that there are some aspects of it that are still paranormal and spiritual. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
somewhere in between. I think I agree with both sides, which is why I love doing these types of episodes because it just allows me to look at things from that skeptical, science-y lens, but also as a believer. And like I've the thing that blows me away the most, I think, with astral travel is I've almost experienced it. And
Right.
without doing any research on what people experience, except like the only thing I've looked up prior to this was like how to do it and kind of those steps. And I never really got any of the information of what it feels like. And most of the time, when I'm trying to have an out-of-body experience, nothing happens. I get a little sensation-y where I feel like I'm, like, kind of floating, but, like, I can never fully. But the experiences where I feel like I've been the closest to actually leaving my body have been completely random, and I haven't been attempting it. And the things that I've experienced, I look up afterwards and then realize that it is across the board. That's what people report experiencing.
It's wild to me, though, that you want to do it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
nothing sounds more terrifying to me than like, "No, thank you. I will stay in my body, thanks."
No, I wanna explore. I wanna go out and see what the realm is beyond. Which is why I think one of the reasons why it took me so long to watch all of the Insidious movies, because Insidious kind of plays on that fear of, like, the further and out-of-body experiences and something being able to possess you. And I think after I saw that first movie, I was like, "Nope, I never wanna astral travel again. I'm not letting some demon possess me." But now I'm kinda, like, over that, and I'm like, "No, I still wanna do it."
Yeah, that's
Um
interesting.
But yeah, the things that I've experienced, and let me know in the comments if you've done this and they're similar, because again, from my research, is when I'm close, I feel like my whole body is starting to vibrate and I hear the vibration in my ears. And then one time and one time only, and I was taking a nap when this happened, and I was laying on my couch, and I guess it was kind of a sleep paralysis thing because my eyes were open, and I saw this blue, like, string coming out of my body up into the ceiling. And at the time, like, was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, what's going on? I'm obviously dreaming. Something's happening." And it was very similar with the vibrating and kind of the feeling of, like, almost being lifted, but then snapping back into your body. And after I woke up, I Googled that, and that is very common for people to experience when they're astral projecting. The string is like that connection to the other side that you have to kind of, like, follow. And one
That's cool.
like, method of actually leaving the body that I read was, like, imagining in your mind eyes that you're pulling that string to lift your soul up out of your body. So the fact that I experienced that and then Googled it, and that is a common thing, was, like, blew my mind.
How do you know where your body is to get back to it?
From what I've read, you just think that you're ready to go back to your body, and you go to your body.
Hmm, okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna turn gears a little bit, and now we are gonna talk about our inner demons. 'Cause yay. While hypnagogia, sleep paralysis, and astral travel show how the brain can generate seemingly external experiences, another layer of the haunted mind involves the emotions and shadows we carry within us. Often, the monsters we perceive aren't lurking in the dark corners of our homes, they're hiding in the corners of our psyche.
Yup.
Ellie agrees.
Ellie agrees.
She does. Unresolved emotions can manifest in a way that feel external. People who have experienced trauma, grief, or intense guilt often report seeing figures, hearing whispers, or sensing a presence that seems tied to their inner turmoil. Psychologists suggest that these perceived hauntings are projections of unresolved emotional states, a mechanism for the mind to process experiences it can't fully confront. Think of it as the mind turning internal conflict into an external narrative. A suppressed fear of loss may appear as a shadowy figure in a bedroom. Guilt over past actions may manifest as a pressing presence or repeated warnings. These projections often mirror the emotional intensity of the events themselves, making them feel disturbingly real.
Hmm.
Carl Jung described, you should all know who Carl Jung is, and if you don't, Google him. He's very famous. Described the shadow self. Parts
I
of
think
our
I talked about him in my
You
other
did.
episode
You
too.
did. Yep.
Yeah.
Parts of ourselves we deny or repress. The archetypes that inhabit our subconscious. During moments of stress, liminal states, or even day-to-day reflection, the brain can animate these shadow selves into monsters and entities we perceive in paranormal experiences. Shadowy figures might embody the trickster archetype, teasing or threatening us in ways that mirror our own insecurities. Whispers or indecipherable messages may represent the voice of repressed knowledge or fear. Even recurring symbols in dreams or hypnagogic imagery can resurface as ghostly patterns, influencing both personal experiences and shared folklore. Jung emphasized that integration of the shadow self, acknowledging and confronting the hidden parts of ourselves, reduce its power to manifest destructively. In paranormal terms, this suggests that many haunted experiences may be psychological projections of unresolved trauma, made more potent when fear and stress amplify them.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
It does. Which is why shadow work is so important, and therapy and processing your trauma, even though it sucks.
It's not fun, but it is
It's not.
work that is worth doing. But
Absolutely.
it's hard, and especially when you first start, you're gonna wanna stop.
Yeah,
You're go
absolutely.
because I will tell you this, as somebody who's done 6 years of intense trauma therapy and EMDR, healing is disruptive.
Yeah.
It is disruptive to the relationships in your life. I know my marriage struggled some because as I was healing, I started to see things that I just accepted that I shouldn't have been accepting
Yeah.
in the people in my life, and that I was, like, letting people walk all over me, that
Yeah.
I then stopped healing is very disruptive, and like, even in my marriage, we struggled a bit when I was going through trauma therapy because part of it is I realized, like, the lack of boundaries I had in relation to other people
Yeah.
and things that I just felt like people could do or say whatever they wanted to do or say to me, and I just deserved it. And I'm not saying my husband was doing anything mean or evil or nefarious but there were things that I felt like I wasn't allowed to speak up about or say,
Right.
"Hey, I
And
don't like it when this happens."
yeah.
And when I learned that I could do it, that I was allowed to do it, there's a learning curve there on how to appropriately do it. Because there
Absolutely.
was a time there I was like, "Fuck everybody. I'm not accepting shit from anybody ever, ever again." And that's not necessarily the way to go about it either.
No.
There
No.
definitely has to be some time to process of how to set those healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So it was very disruptive to a lot of friendships and my marriage, and it takes a
Yeah.
lot to stick through that and
And
to kinda
I
work
think that
through it.
yeah, I think that shows too even more than if people were I mean, Nick is an asshole for not letting Kelly get a dog. We all
Yes.
know that. But besides that, he's a pretty damn good husband. And I think that
It
shows
really is.
that, again, as Kelly said, not that he was doing anything, mean or abusive or anything like that, but you do get used to this person that you married, and you guys were married for a while before this happened. And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden you're setting these boundaries and doing these things. And it is a struggle for him to adjust, but he did. And that
he
I
did.
think shows that's
Yeah,
that's the type of person you wanna be with. Because if you do start to go through this process and suddenly people that you love, your partner, friends, are pushing back on this process you're dealing with and not accepting your growth, then they're not the people you wanna be around.
right,
Yeah.
right. But it's worth it. Do it.
Yeah, do it, for sure. These internal projections don't just remain in the mind, they spill into narratives, folklore, and culture. The witches, demons, and shadow people reported across societies often reflect common fears and repressed impulses. In essence, the haunted mind is a mirror. The ghosts we encounter often reveal our own hidden fears, guilt, and desires, projected outward into shapes, sounds, and sensations that seem to live beyond us. Next, we are going to dive into collective perception and suggestion. So, fear can be contagious. When people
Yes.
gather with the expectation of ghosts or spirits, their minds often amplify ambiguous sights and sounds, creating shared experiences that feel real. Throughout history, humans have sometimes experienced collective fear and belief that produce extraordinary events. These events, often labeled as mass hysteria, show how social, psychological, and cultural forces can create shared perceptions of the paranormal or seemingly impossible. So, perhaps, at least in the US, the most famous example of mass hysteria is the Salem witch trials from 1692. So, for those of you that are living under a rock, what happened was in colonial Massachusetts, a series of trials erupted after several young girls claimed to be afflicted by witchcraft. Accusations spread quickly, resulting in 20 executions and dozens of imprisonments. Communities were consumed by fear of witches conspiring with the devil. Scholars now cite a mix of social tension, religious extremism, economic rivalry, and possible ergot poisoning, which is a hallucinogenic mold one rye, as contributing factors to this mass hysteria. Fear, rumor, and mass suggestibility created a climate where false accusations could flourish. At the
It, what's the name of the on Ghost, on the TV show Ghosts, of the like, the pilgrim, the very, like, religious, the one that Isaac pushed into the or, like, left in the underground out on the property,
Oh, yeah, she's not
that
a main character, but
no.
yes, I
Yeah.
do know who you're talking
I
about.
can't remember her
I can't
name,
either.
but that's what makes me think of her with, like, the
Yeah,
kinda mass hysteria about witches and stuff.
absolutely, yeah. So at the time, locals believed that witches were genuinely interacting with demons, giving the events a supernatural framework that reinforced the communal terror. The next event we're going to talk about is the dancing plague of 1518, which, if you
I
have
don't
not
think I've
heard of
heard of
this,
this one.
oh my goodness, it's a great one. I've got some good ones in here, Kelly. So this happened in Strasbourg, France. Hundreds of people reportedly began dancing uncontrollably in the streets, some for days. Eyewitness accounts describe dancers collapsing from exhaustion or even dying from heart attack and strokes.
What?
Yep.
Because of what?
Modern historians and scientists suggest that it was a combination of extreme stress, famine, and ergot poisoning. We love a good ergot
Damn
poisoning.
ergot poisoning.
Damn ergots. So they think that these things may have triggered involuntary movements and shared delusions. Social contagion likely played a role, as seeing others dance spurred more participants.
I wonder how many of our, like, dance moves throughout history were inspired by this.
By the dancing flag. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So, contemporary observers often attribute the dancing to curses, demonic possession, or some sort of divine punishment, interpreting the collective frenzy as a supernatural event rather than a psychological or physiological one, which something like that, where there's not a ton of other history to it or a lot of other documented causes, there's a part of me that thinks it could still be paranormal.
Yeah,
It's crazy enough, right? Hey,
sure.
are you ready for this next one? Well, this is actually two different instances, and I think happened but there's two specific instances. So this involves
Okay.
nuns in the
Okay.
15th and 17th century. So this happened in two completely different centuries, two completely different convents in two completely different places of the world. So
Okay.
these nuns exhibited bizarre behaviors. In one
Okay.
instance, the nuns began acting like cats, meowing, hissing, clawing at one another. And in another instance, the nuns began biting people for no apparent reason. These outbreaks were sudden, highly contagious within the group, and widely documented by observers of the time.
I'm just gonna say this. If I'm ever in a situation where it seems like, "Oh, something's taking control and we're biting people," I'm gonna join in just to bite people I don't like. I'd be like, I don't know. I mean, it was
It's the
the thing.
demons.
It was
Yeah.
just the thing. I got,
I was just
well,
involved. I
they
can't.
do the sign of the cross, got the demons out of me,
Yeah, I had to bite some
but
people.
but the best part of this is the meowing and hissing one.
They acted like cats, Kelly. I want to see nuns acting like
I would
cats.
love it.
Why no one has made a comedy horror film about the possessed nuns acting like cats? I don't know, but it needs to happen. Please.
It does. It absolutely does.
Historians suggest that a psychogenic illness and stress-induced behavior, amplified by isolation, strict discipline, and sleep deprivation, were likely the cause. The mimicry of one nun's behavior by others created a chain reaction, producing the appearance of a mass possession. But at the time, especially, and still to this day in some cases, the events were interpreted as a demonic possession or interference by spirits or animal entities, with the nuns believed to be being overtaken by malevolent forces beyond their control.
It's crazy.
And then the
I
next
want a
one,
meowing nun.
me too.
So bad. I want to see that.
Someone needs to make a movie. Get on it. The next
Please.
one is the kissing bug scare in 1899. So in New York, reports spread that children were being bitten at night by invisible kissing bugs. Families panicked, and newspapers fueled the fear, creating widespread alarm despite little physical evidence. Scientists do say it was likely a psychogenic illness, misidentified insect bites, and rumor propagation that created this shared sense of danger, and social amplification magnified individual reports into a mass fear. But at the time, some people believed that it was a malevolent spirit or a nocturnal entity that was responsible, giving this supernatural dimension to this collective anxiety.
Okay.
And last but not least, and I do want to put like a content warning on this about supposed child abuse, but you'll find out that it was never proven that any child abuse actually happened.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the McMartin preschool child abuse hysteria from the 1980s. So allegations of ritualistic abuse at the McMartin preschool in California sparked a nationwide panic. The claims began when one parent accused a teacher of molesting her child, and the story quickly grew into bizarre and elaborate claims. Secret tunnels, satanic rituals, dozens of children being abused. Investigators conducted extensive interviews with children, often using leading or suggestive questioning techniques. As more children were interviewed, the number of allegations increased, fueling media frenzy and public fear. Despite the intensity of the investigation, most accusations were ultimately unproven and no convictions were made.
Yeah, I think I touched on this in one of my other episodes. It was the start of like the whole satanic panic
Yeah.
part. And it started with daycares, preschools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it
And
was just,
especially those leading questions that
yeah.
the investigators asked of kids.
It's wild. Like some of the kids were reporting that they were being like molested in a hot air balloon that like didn't exist.
Right. But I know that I read one report of investigators, like they were interviewing the kids, and the kid would say, I'm really hungry or I have to use the restroom. And then the investigators would say things like, well, as soon as you tell us that she was talking about Satan, then we'll let
Yeah.
you go to the bathroom, or
Of
we'll
course.
let you have food, or
Yeah. That also is what happened, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in the West Memphis 3 case. Do you know that case?
I don't know.
So it's about 3 teenagers that were arrested for killing a little boy, and
Oh, yeah.
they ended up, I'm pretty sure I'm so out of touch with true crime now, guys, because I've put all my energy into this podcast. I haven't listened to my true crime podcast anymore, but I believe they're free now. I think that it was overturned, but basically in the beginning, the first boy that was questioned was supposedly, I think, autistic or somewhere on the spectrum. And he kept saying how he wanted to go home. He wanted to go to his dad, blah, blah, blah. And they used that type of manipulation. Well, as soon as you admit to this, like, you can leave. which of course then he
Right.
couldn't because as soon as he confessed, they arrested him. So it's that manipulation tactic in interrogations, which is totally legal and total bullshit.
Sure.
Yeah. But experts suggest a combination of parental anxiety, cultural fear of satanic ritual abuse, and suggestive interviewing that contributed to this escalation. Children are highly susceptible to suggestion, often repeated or embellished ideas presented to them by authority figures. Social contagion and confirmation bias amplified the claims, turning individual concerns into a full blown moral panic. But at the time, these events were linked to satanic cult activity, giving that kind of supernatural lens to these unsubstantiated claims. Humans are deeply influenced by expectation and suggestion, especially in situations charged with fear, curiosity, or mystery. When people anticipate the presence of the paranormal, the brain is primed to interpret ordinary stimuli like creaking floors, shadows, and bursts of static as evidence of something supernatural. This interplay between psychology and belief often shapes paranormal encounters. But believers counter that not all experiences can be explained so easily. Ouija boards, for example. Skeptics point to the iodometer effect, where subtle, unconscious muscle movements guide the planchette, giving the illusion that it moves on its own. With multiple participants, this effect can be amplified, creating a powerful sense of external control. But many practitioners insist the planchette is being directed by spirits working through them. In this interpretation, subconscious movements may not be purely self generated, but rather influenced by outside entities attempting to communicate.
What gets me with Ouija boards is when it moves when nobody's touching it.
Yeah, that part's fascinating.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to look at EVPs, electronic voice phenomena,
Phenomena.
do, 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 or spirit boxes. So often participants hear voices in static or white noise because of auditory pareidolia, the mind's tendency to impose patterns on randomness. Expectation and suggestion prime listeners to identify words or phrases where none exist. My counterpoint to that is you have techniques like the Estes method, and they were developed to reduce suggestion. So, the Estes method, I know we've talked about this a bunch. It originated at the Stanley Hotel, and this method places one investigator in a sensory deprivation scenario. They're wearing a blindfold, noise canceling headphones while monitoring the spirit box. They repeat any words they hear while being completely unaware of the questions being asked. Supporters argue that meaningful responses under these conditions suggest something beyond coincidence or interpretation.
Yep.
And
I like
as
the Estes method.
yeah, considering that we have experienced it ourselves, then I definitely believe. But I do believe the point I made before, where our brains often interpret noises and voices in static that might not necessarily be there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And the last one I'm going to talk about are just ghost hunts in general. So, fear and anticipation heighten sensitivity in a haunted setting. A creak, a draft, or a shadow, combined with the group expectations of being in a haunted location, can create a collective misperception where several people report the same experience with no external cause. Counterpoint to that is believers note that some investigations yield consistent reports from multiple independent witnesses, as well as physical anomalies like objects moving or unexplained recordings. These cases, they argue, point to experiences that go beyond suggestion alone.
Here's the thing. On the investigations that I've been on, though, because I know that paranormal activity is kind of rare, right? True paranormal activity. When I would go into an investigation, I never actually expected activity to happen.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
wasn't going into it with the, like, anticipation that this is definitely gonna happen.
Right.
I would go into it more as, I sure hope something happens so we're not just sitting here all night not experiencing anything. Not saying that means that, like, the homes or whatever we were in were lying. It's just that you can't put paranormal activity on some kind of a, like,
No.
on demand kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Otherwise, we would have proved it by now beyond a reasonable
exactly.
doubt, which we have not. Suggestion undoubtedly plays a powerful role in shaping paranormal experiences, but it doesn't erase the mystery. The tension between psychology and possibility leaves room for interpretation. Are these events product of the human mind under pressure, or do they represent fleeting moments where consciousness brushes against something outside the physical world? Perhaps, as with many paranormal topics, the truth lies somewhere in between. And before we close out today's episode, we're just going to kind of tie it all together, right? So we talked about a bunch of different things, and I'm just going to wrap it up neatly with a nice, pretty bow.
Okay.
Fear sharpens our senses, suggestion shapes our perception, and culture gives us the stories we tell to explain the unknown. Science shows us how the brain can invent threats, conjure figures in the dark, or even spark mass hysteria. But those explanations don't erase the chilling consistency of these encounters across centuries and cultures. Why do people from every corner of the world describe the same shadow figures, the same crushing weight on the chest, the same whispers in the silence? Why do mass outbreaks, whether dancing, meowing, or accusing people of being in league with the devil, so often take a distinctly supernatural character? Psychology may account for part of it, but there remains a stubborn residue of mystery that refuses to be explained away. Maybe the haunted mind doesn't just create its own phantoms. Maybe it also opens a doorway, a place where belief, fear, and consciousness blur the boundaries between our inner shadows and something other.
It's fast. This whole thing is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a lot of this is gonna take time to you're gonna hear me in 3, 4 episodes from now referencing stuff like this because I've had time to process the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to keep diving into topics like this because it fascinates me how our brain creates a lot of this stuff. I do
Yeah.
have one more brain thought psychology creating things episode coming up in the nearish future. So we'll talk about that later. But that brings us to the end of this episode about when our minds become monsters. Not every shadow is in your mind. Some are watching you back. We carry our demons inside us, but the ones outside are harder to escape. The veil between the inner and outer world is thin, and something is always reaching through.
If you love what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. Your support helps us reach more listeners and share even more spooky stories. Now, I know that everything you listen to or watch on YouTube, people say, please like and subscribe and share. And I notice that I usually don't.
No, me neither. Until
So
recently.
I have started doing that now because now
Yes.
I really do understand how that it takes you just a fraction of a second to like something
Yeah.
or to share something or maybe 5 minutes to review something. And it's almost nothing to you, but it can be world changing to
Yeah.
the content that you are
When
responding to or ingesting.
yeah, when we get an email that says someone left us a review. And so far, knock on wood, they have all been glowing, positive, amazing reviews. Because, of course, I know the hate is coming eventually. It'll settle in.
Eventually, yeah.
That's when we've really made it. That's what I'll keep telling myself. So that way, when it does happen, I don't cry in a corner because someone was mean to me. That means that we have haters and we're getting there. But when I get the positive reviews or comments, I get so happy. Like the other day, one of our listeners, Nicole, who has written in a listener story, and I know she's commented on a bunch of stuff, and she sent me the video on Instagram to the podcast Instagram of Robert Irwin, because he's on Dancing with the Stars, and his first dance. And the fact that someone that I've never met, neither of us have ever met, knows me
Yep.
well enough to know that I would like to see a video of Robert Irwin dancing and took their time to send that to me, that made my heart so happy.
Yeah. I'm actually watching this season because
Me too.
there's 2 of the cast members from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And Topanga is also on it. I love me some Topanga. As a boy meets world kind of girl, I love Topanga.
I was a little old for that show
Yeah, it
when
was
it
right around my time, but
yeah.
well, I mean, I think it came out. I don't know if I like. I don't know. I don't know when it came out. But I think it was before me, but I still enjoyed it. So. And speaking of social media, if you want to send us videos and comments and lovely things to make our hearts happy, you can follow us on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast and TikTok at Not My Ghost Podcast and on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. Please send us happy things. Comment on our videos because we love it. We love to interact with you
Please
all.
do. If you want even more ghostly content, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/notmyghost, We have some fantastic exclusive perks for our supporters.
Yeah, please do, because our community is growing ever so slowly. We are up to 5 people now, and come join us because we have a blast.
We do.
Yeah.
And if you have ever had a spine-tingling paranormal encounter, share your story with us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com. And you will hear it featured on a future episode.
Yeah.
And if you get them in soon, it will be a part of a special Paranormal Postcards episode. But
A
more
very
about that
special
later.
one. Mhm. So please send them in ASAP. Thank you for joining us on this chilling exploration of the monsters within our own minds. Remember, as you wander through the dark corridors of thought, keep this in mind.
If it's not your ghost,
It's not your problem.
until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.